watching Sir David Attenborough witness so many animals and so many diverse landscapes. It almost felt surreal to see oceans glow in the dark, to see vibrant animals in a rainforest, and to see so many animals hidden in a desert that seemed lifeless. And maybe because I was so fascinated by such documentaries, my parents started taking me out in nature more. Be it weekends or birthdays, we were always around nature. But like anyone else, we were just visiting nature. We weren't part of it. The trees were just shades, gardens were just picnic spots. We didn't belong to that world. But as I grew older, things started to change. I was lucky enough to meet a lot of conservationists, educators, climate activists who were kind enough and had patience to answer my questions, regardless how stupid they were. And I would not always get direct answers. Sometimes they would ask me to look again and tell them what I think. Sometimes they'll tell me stories. Sometimes they'll just tell me the science of it. They made me ask better questions just by allowing me to ask questions. They made me more observant. And background, the nature, which was just a background, started looking like a living, breathing entity. And the scenery became a relationship. And this relationship with nature has taught me three things: how to be observant, how to be humbled, and how to practice reciprocity. And these are the things I would want to talk to you guys about. The first lesson comes from the forest itself. And it is that if you learn to listen, if you learn to observe, the forest will speak to you. I am a huge movie buff, and sometimes I like to pretend that I'm Sherlock Holmes when I'm in the jungle. And the jungle is my Dr. Watson. And jungle gives you cues, and it's your role to decipher what they mean. For instance, if you're looking for a tiger or a leopard in the jungle, if you're observant enough, the jungle will tell you where to look. The first thing that we look at is pug marks. Pug marks are literally timestamps on a jungle floor. If the edges of a pug mark are sharp, it means that it's a fresh pug mark. You spend enough time with trackers, you can also identify what animal left this pug mark, if it's male or a female, or if it's limping or not. Old pug marks looks something like this, with faded lines. And this is what a pug mark of a hyena looks like. This is the next cue. Can you tell me what this is? Now, this is a scat. Poop is one of the most honest evidences an animal can leave behind. It can tell you if the animal is a herbivore or a carnivore. It will tell you what it ate: berries, fruits. It will have remains of animals like fur and bones. And they're full of intel. For example, this cat is of a snow leopard. We were following a snow leopard in Ladakh, and we came across this cat. This cat had fur of a marmot. Marmot is a small rodent. So that means it's a small animal which would not fill the stomach of a leopard for longer. That meant we continued looking for it. Instead, if it had fur of a mountain goat, for example, it would not get out for 3 days. It would remain in its den, in its cave. So this also helps you decide your way forward. But the most honest storytellers in the jungle are the animals themselves. And amongst them, langur and a deer are my favorite duo. They are like best friends. They always have each other's back. Monkeys, the langurs, have the best view of the jungle. They sit high top, whereas deers have the best sense of smell. Now, whenever they sense something suspicious, they give out an alarm call. And interestingly, langurs have a different alarm call for leopards, because leopards can actually come up and hunt them, whereas tigers or lions can't. So they have a different call for it. Would you like to see how it looks? So these cues are always there. It's just up to you to decipher them. and the jungle will tell you where to look. So once I started to understand how the wild functions, how to look for animals, I started to believe that I understand nature. But that completely changed when I moved to the mountains, because no matter how much you know, nature is still bigger than you. We were in a small village called Ule in Ladakh. This village is home to just 6 families. There are no roads, there is no network. People here communicate over walkie talkies. And there is almost no stimuli when it comes to hearing. The silence is very eerie. The people here are very warm, but the climate here is very harsh. This place is also home to one of the most elusive big cats in the world, the snow leopard. People also call them the ghost cats. People usually believe that spotting a tiger is difficult, but trust me, tigers are much more easier compared to snow leopards. Snow leopards, they look like the rocks there. They have the same texture, they have the same shadow. They move like wind. You almost can't see them even if they are just there. And the problem with snow leopards is that they live in the density of 1 to 3 animals per square 100 kilometers. And they live in ridges that you can't walk on, and they live on valleys that you can't access. So these big cats are almost mythical. So every day, this is the village where we were staying, and this is the whole region is home for the snow leopard. So for us, our everyday schedule was we would take out our scopes, set up our cameras, and start scanning the ridges. You look at rocks, black rocks, gray rocks, white rocks. After a point, your brain starts playing tricks on you. Everything looks like a snow leopard. And after some point, nothing looks like anything. So we started following a herd of mountain goats. We would count them every day and check for their behavior, if they're acting anxious or not. These would be the signs of a predator being around. And this is how it looks like. So if you look at the mountain without the scope, it looks like it's barren. And they're so well camouflaged that you can't even look them through the scope unless they move. So to help ourselves, we set up a few cameras in the ridges for them to be our eyes up there. Because I have a background in engineering, I devised a sensor, a passive infrared sensor that would sense heat and send a shutter signal to the camera. While I was making this, I felt very smart, to be very honest. But when we deployed them, we quickly realized that we didn't account for the rocks that would heat up by the sun, that would send fault triggers to the camera, which meant we had 3,000 images every day, and our cards would run out in 3 days. And the batteries would not hold charge because it was so cold. So a system that was designed to last for 20 days would not last for 3 days. That meant we had to hike up every 3 days for 6 hours, change our cards, change our batteries, and come back. He's Morup. He was the protagonist of our film, and he's a localite there. He knows these mountains behind his hand, and he would help us set up cameras. So whenever you set up a camera like this, a trap camera, you have to pretend that you are a snow leopard in front of the camera, so the other person can frame it. This is me pretending to be a snow leopard in front of a ridge. Now, this particular region was very strategical because on the right, there's a cliff. There's a cliff. And on the left hand side, there's a wall. So the animal is forced to walk on this narrow path. So there's no way your camera would miss that animal. So we did get a few animals. This is the mountain goat that we got in one of our cameras. But I believe that this mountain goat, because they are very curious, also kicked my camera box, which led to this image. Now the camera is kicked, it's panned towards the right, and this is where the snow leopard is with stars and mountains in the backdrop. I still believe that it's a blessing, because if the camera would have been in the same position, the leopard would have been out of the frame. Now, because the mountain goat kicked it, it's in the frame. So it's a blessing from the mountain goats or the mountain gods. We were almost halfway through our schedule, and we still did not have good enough snow leopard footage for our film. And since this film was about coexistence between leopards and the villagers, we needed that. So we got our cameras down on the last day to check the camera that we placed on that ridge. And this is what we got. So on the same spot where I was standing few days back was a family of snow leopards, two cubs and their mother behind them. And it almost felt unreal to share that same space with them. And to be very honest, I've not seen snow leopards with my own eyes. They've just been in front of my camera, and it feels all right. Because soon you realize that you are not the center of the story. We live around places that are designed for us, for our convenience, where everything bends for us. And when we went to the mountains, we thought with our smartness, with our technology, the mountains will bend for us too. But we started bending to its vastness and secrets. And I think that this is what humility means, that the nature does not owe you anything, and you still feel grateful to be standing on it. And you realize you need these people, you need these lands, you depend on the weather to be able to get all of this. And my next lesson comes from the people who live in these landscapes. We usually believe that scientists, botanists, zoologists are the experts. But to be honest, the real custodians of knowledge are the people who live in these landscapes. They have a way of life where they respect nature, and the nature just lets them be there. This is how coexistence works for them. They don't talk about sustainability or ecology, they embody it. We went to Meghalaya and we witnessed the sacred forest. The sacred forest is dedicated to the forest spirits. You're not allowed to pick up a rock from there. And when you enter this forest, you realize that the air is cooler. There is some calm that only can exist when nature exists without fear. And at the same time, they have something called living root bridges. Here, people don't make bridges to cross streams. They train the rubber roots to form bridges for them. And they wait for 10 years, 15 years, 30 years for them to become strong enough to be able to hold them. And I think this is the best expression of reciprocity that we can have. That you care for the forest and the forest will let you walk over it. This is what the root bridge looks like in first person view. In arid landscapes of Rajasthan and Kutch, communities form these rainwater harvesting systems that are known as johards. For us, the idea of water is just the tap. We don't know how much it actually exists. But for them, they see it every day. That is how they decide how they would want to utilize their water. Would they want to grow rice that needs more water? Or would they want to grow some other crop which needs lesser water? And during drought, they would collectively share this water with each other. But here, more privileged would get access to water first. This community is from Jambugoda, 100 kilometers from here. And people here, they don't cut trees for firewood. They take honey that much they require and leave enough for the bees. They forage enough that they would consume and leave enough for the mountain to heal. So the idea of taking how much you need and leaving less for the others is something that I learned from them. And the lessons from the mountains, the forest, the people, I learned that we are all connected through unseen threads. The unseen thread between a langur and a lion, an unseen thread between a snow leopard and the villager. And we are part of that thread system too. Maybe not the most important one of the millions, but important. We may be fragile, but all it matters is how do we play this role in the great tapestry of life? Are we the thread that let the whole world be held together? Or are we the thread that we let the whole world fall apart? Thank you.